Fred Greenhalgh and Bill DeFries present The Dark Tome, Episode 1, Part 2, featuring the story The Devil on the Staircase by Joe Hill.
See how the steps are first of white stone? Soon they grow sooty and dark. And see all those other staircases? How they merge with this one? It's quite a mystery. Or it was then. I had walked all the flights of stairs in these hills, except for this one. And I couldn't think for the life of me where those other staircases might be coming from. I remember it quite clearly. The forest around me had been purged by fire in the not-so-far-off past, and I made my descent through stands of scorched, shattered pines, the hillside all blackened and charred. Only there had been no fire on that part of the hill. Not for as long as I could remember. The breeze carried on it an unmistakable warmth. I began to feel unpleasantly overheated in my clothes. I followed the staircase round a switchback and saw below me a boy sitting on a stone landing. He had a collection of curious wares spread out on a blanket. There was a wind-up tin bird in a cage, a basket of white apples, a dented gold lighter. There was a jar, and in the jar was light. This light would increase in brightness until the landing was lit as if by the rising sun. And then it would collapse into darkness, shrinking to a single point like some impossibly brilliant lightning bug. He smiled to see me. He had golden hair and the most beautiful smile I have ever seen on a child's face. And I was afraid of him, even before he called out to me by name. I pretended I didn't hear him, pretended he wasn't there, that I didn't see him, walked right past him. He laughed to see me hurrying by. The farther I went, the steeper it got. There seemed to be a light below, as if somewhere beyond a ledge, through the trees, there was a great city on the scale of Roma, a bowl of lights like a bed of embers. I could smell food cooking on the breeze. If it was food, that hungry-making perfume of meat charring over flame. Voices ahead of me, a man speaking warily, perhaps to himself, a long and joyless discourse. Someone else laughing, bad laughter, unhinged and angry. A third man was asking questions.
Is a plum sweeter after it has been pushed into the mouth of a virgin to silence her as she is taken? And who will claim the child made from the rotten carcass of the lamb that laid with the lion, only to be eviscerated?
And so on. At the next turn in the steps, they finally came into sight. They lined the stairs, half a dozen men nailed onto crosses of blackened pine. I couldn't go on, and for a time, I couldn't go back. It was the cats. One of the men had a crack in his skull, a red seeping wound that made a puddle on the stairs, and kittens lapped at it as if it were cream, and he was talking to them in his tired voice.
Good kitties, drink your fill. Father will always feed you. Father will keep you warm.
I did not go close enough to see his face. I returned the way I had come on shaky legs. The boy awaited me with his collection of oddities.
Why not sit and rest your sore feet, Quirinus Calvino?
I sat down across from him, not because I wanted to, but because that was where my legs gave out.
Oh, God.
My regrets, girl. But God did not enter this place.
Would you like a drink of water?
No, thank you.
Are you worried about taking something from me? No need. I would love to offer you a gift. It's no trouble at all.
There was a light in a jar that grew, a single floating point of perfect whiteness, growing from a pinprick until it swelled like a balloon. I tried to look at it, but felt a pinch of pain in the back of my eyeballs and glanced away.
What is that?
A little spark stolen from the sun. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. You can make a furnace with it. A giant furnace, powerful enough to warm a whole city and light 1,000 Edison lights. Look at how bright it gets. You just have to be careful, though. If you smash this and let the spark escape, that same city would disappear in a clap of brightness. You can have it if you want.
No, I don't want it.
No, of course not. That isn't your sort of thing. No matter. Someone will be along later for this, but take something. Anything you want.
Are you Lucifer?
Lucifer's an awful old goat, has a pitchfork and hooves and makes people suffer. And I hate suffering. I only want to help people. I give gifts. That's why I'm here. Everyone who walks these stairs before their time gets a gift to welcome them. You look thirsty. Would you like an apple? They're the most beautiful apples.
I was thirsty. My throat felt not just sore, but singed, as if I had inhaled smoke recently, and I began to reach for the offered fruit almost reflexively, but then drew my hand back, for I knew the lessons of at least one book. He grinned at me.
Are those from the garden?
They're from a very old and honorable tree. You will never taste a sweeter fruit, and when you eat it, you'll be filled with ideas. Yes, even one such as you, Quirinus Calvino, who barely learned to read.
I don't want it.
Everyone will want it. They'll want to eat and be filled with understanding. Why, learning how to speak another language will be just as simple as, learning to build a bomb. Just one bite of an apple away. What about the lighter? You can light anything with a lighter. A cigarette, a pipe, a campfire, imaginations, revolutions, books, rivers, the sky, another man's soul. The lighter has an enchantment on it. It's tapped into the deepest wells of oil on the planet, and will set fires that will burn for as long as the oil lasts, which I'm sure will be forever.
You have nothing I want.
I have something for everyone.
I rose to my feet, ready to leave, though I had nowhere to go. I couldn't walk back down the stairs. The thought made me dizzy. Neither could I go back up. Lithadora would have returned to the village by now. They would be searching the stairs for me with the torches. I was surprised I hadn't heard them already. But there was one more thing. A mechanical tin bird that turned its head to look at me as I swayed on my heels and blinked. The metal shutters of its eyes snapping closed, then popping open again. It let out a rusty cheep. So did I, startled by its sudden movement. I thought it a toy, inanimate. It watched me steadily, and I stared back. I had, as a child, always had an interest in ingenious mechanical objects, clockwork people who ran out of their hiding places at the stroke of noon, the woodcutter to chop wood, the maiden to dance around. The boy followed my gaze and smiled, then opened the cage and reached in for it. The bird leaped lightly onto his finger.
This bird sings the most beautiful song. It finds a master, a shoulder it likes to perch on. Sings to this person for the rest of its days. The trick to making it sing is to tell a lie. The bigger the better. Feed it a lie and it will sing to you the most marvelous little tune. People love to hear its song. They love it so much they don't even care they're being lied to. He's yours if you want him.
I don't want anything from you.
You see? Likes you. Looks rather nice on your shoulder.
I can't pay.
You've already paid.
Then he turned his head and looked down the stairs and seemed to listen. I heard a wind rising. It made a low, soughing moan as it came through the channel of the staircase, a deep and lonely and restless cry. The boy looked back at me.
Now go. I hear my father coming. That awful old goat.
I backed away, and my heels struck the stair behind me. I was in such a hurry to get away, I fell sprawling across the granite steps. The bird on my shoulder took off, rising in widening circles through the air. But when I found my feet, it glided down to where it had rested before on my shoulder, and I began to run back up the way I had come. I climbed in haste for a time, but soon was tired again and had to slow to a walk. I began to think about what I would say when I reached the main staircase and was discovered.
I will confess everything and accept my punishment, whatever that is.
I fell silent, though, as I reached the gate, quieted by a different song not far off. A girl sobs. I listened, confused, and crept uncertainly back to where I had murdered Lithodora's beloved. I heard no sound except for Dora's cries. No men shouting. No feet running on the steps. I had been gone half the night, it seemed to me, but when I reached the ruins where I had left the Saracen and looked upon Dora, it was as if only minutes had passed. I came toward her and whispered to her, afraid almost to be heard. The second time I spoke her name, she turned her head and looked at me with red-rimmed, hating eyes and screamed,
Get away!
I wanted to comfort her, to tell her I was sorry. But when I came close, she sprang to her feet and ran at me, striking me and flaying at my face with her fingernails while she cursed my name. I meant to put my hands on her shoulder to hold her stiff. But when I reached for her, they found her smooth, white neck instead.
You killed her! All for...
Her father and his fellows and my unemployed friends discovered me weeping over her, running my fingers through the silk of her long black hair. Her father fell to his knees and took her in his arms, and for a while the hills rang with her name over and over again.
What happened here? The Arab. That monkey from the desert, he did this. He lured her here, and when he couldn't force her innocence from her, he throttled her in the grass. And I found them, and we fought. I killed him with a block of stone.
Oh, poor Lithodora. Take faith. We will avenge her.
I held Lithodora in my arms as we walked down the steps. As we went on our way, the bird began to sing again. As I told them, the Saracen had planned to take the sweetest and most beautiful girls and auction their white flesh in Araby, a more profitable line of trade than selling wine. The bird was now whistling a marching song, and the faces of the men who walked with me were rigid and dark.
I always knew they were no good.
Yes, we must burn them.
Burn them, yes. Burn them.
Burn them.
Ahmed's men burned, along with the Arab ship, and sank in the harbor. His goods, stored in a warehouse by the quay, were seized, and his money box fell to me. as a reward for my heroism. No one ever would have imagined when I was a boy that one day I would be the wealthiest trader on the whole Amalfi Coast, or that I would come to own the prize vineyards of Don Carlotta, I who once worked like a mule for his coin. No one would have guessed that one day I would be the beloved mayor of Sullescala, or a man of such renown that I would be invited to a personal audience with His Holiness the Pope, who thanked me for my many well-noted acts of generosity. The springs inside the pretty tin bird wore down in time, and it ceased to sing. But by then, it did not matter if anyone believed my lies or not. Such was my wealth and power and fame. However, several years before the tin bird fell silent, I woke one morning in my manor to find it had constructed a nest of wire on my windowsill and filled it with fragile eggs made of bright silver foil. I regarded these eggs with unease, but when I reached to touch them, their mechanical mother nipped at me with her needle-sharp beak, and I did not, after that, make any attempt to disturb them. Months later, the nest was filled with foil tatters. The young of this new species, creatures of a new age, had fluttered on their way. I cannot tell you how many birds of tin and wire and electric current there are in the world now, but I have this very month heard speak of our new Prime Minister, Mr. Mussolini, when he speaks of the greatness of the Italian people and our kinship with our German neighbors. I am quite sure I can hear a tin bird singing with him. Its tune plays especially well, amplified over modern radio. Oh, where are we now? Ah, the villa. Would you like to come in?
No.
You see, I don't live in the hills anymore. It has been years since I saw Sullescala. I discovered, as I descended at last into my senior years, that I could no longer attempt the staircase. I told people it was my poor, sore old knees. But in truth, I developed a fear of heights.
I'm back. What the hell is that? Oh, it's a bird. Oh shit. Oh shit.
What
Oh,
the
shit.
hell did you do, Cassie?
Mr. Gussie, what the hell are you doing here?
Well, it's my bookshop.
You're supposed to be in the hospital.
I figured you might be getting back to mischief. No boy, no school, no home to go to. You weren't sneaking off to smoke pot with the big kids, were ya? No, you were dabbling in something a lot more dangerous.
You should have told me.
I did tell you. I told you to bring the book to me.
Why? So you could escape the hospital? You seem perfectly capable of doing that without the book.
No, I need it so I can find them.
Wait, what? No, Mr. Gussie.
You need to help me, Cassie. They're gone from this world, but I think with the Dark Tome, I might be able to find them. I can't do it by myself.
Shut up! Shut up, you horrible bird! I don't ever want to open that book again. Ugh.
The Dark Tome doesn't light up for me like it does for you. I guess I've gotten too old, lost some of the magic. With you, Cassie, we can travel all sorts of places. Come on!
Bye, Mr. Gussie.
Come on, Cassie! Cassie!
I had lost track of time. When I went into Gussie's bookshop, it was maybe 4, and now it was full dark. Since it was no longer safe in my hiding place, I figured it couldn't be any worse to go home. My mom would be pissed. Pissed drunk, at least.
Mom?
Where have you been?
Nowhere, Mom.
Don't you lie to me. You smell like you've been hanging out around a campfire. And have you been drinking?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Oh. No, of course not.
Where's Mark?
He's out getting pizza, I think. Or that or more vodka. Oh, shit, the bottle! He'll be back in a minute. Why? You got a problem with him?
It's not that. Hey, hold on a second. I need to let something in.
Ah, sure.
Whoa!
What the fuck is this?
It's a mechanical bird, Mom. He came out of hell. I thought you'd get along great with him.
The fuck?
Try telling it a lie. It loves lies.
I never lie, Cassie. Not to you, not to anybody.
Holy shit, it works!
What?
Try it again.
What are you talking about?
Like, talk about your drinking.
What drinking? Fuck. Cassie, I told you I'm trying to quit.
It really works. It's like I don't even care anymore. Mark hits me, you know.
He never hits you.
You and that bird, Mom. I think you're going to get along great.
You don't know what it's like for me as a person. I didn't sign up to be a single mom. I didn't even want to be a mom in the first place. Wait, that's not what I meant to say.
I think it is.
Cassie! Cassie, I love you, Cassie. Don't forget that. Everything I do, I'm thinking of you first. Would someone turn that horrible thing off? Ow!
I got in my room, and I didn't start crying like I thought I would. Instead, I found myself thinking of the Dark Tome. I started thinking about Mr. Gussie, and most of all, I started thinking about that damn bird. I closed my eyes, and the sound of those seaside cliffs kept coming back to me. I stared at the ceiling, and the shadows looked like the charred trees on the staircase to hell. I heard cars on the street outside, and I swore beneath them I could hear the laughing song of the mechanical bird. From my window, I could see all of Main Street, from the barber's to the furniture store to the unremarkable 2-story tenement on the corner. Gussie's. My window overlooked a fire escape, and my mom would be passed out in an hour if she wasn't already, and I didn't care what she had to say anyway. I opened the window, climbed out onto the rusty metal stairs, and headed to Gussie's again. I needed another story.
You've been listening to The Dark Tome, Episode 1, Part 2. Come back November 18th, 2016 for the first part of Episode 2, The Bread We Eat in Dreams by Catherine M. Valente. In the meantime, please leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. We're on social media as The Dark Tome, also have a website at thedarktome.com. Today's story was The Devil on the Staircase by Joe Hill, adapted for audio by Fred Greenhalgh, produced by Fred Greenhalgh of Final Rune Productions and Bill Dufries of Mind's Eye Productions, dialogue editing by Grace Waldron, sound design by Rory O'Shea of Smash Sound Studios, cast members, Lily Thorne as Cassie, Tim Sample as Mr. Gussie, Brent Ascari as the narrator, Ian Carlson as Man, Jalen Wisey as Boy, Anna Gravel as Lithadora, Marie Stewart Harmon as Nurse, Christine Marshall as Mom, Eric Moody and Jay Piscopo as Bar Friends and Soldiers, Tom Alexander as Voice in Hell. Original score, February by Peter Van Riet. The Dark Tome is part of Wondery, a network of storytellers. Be sure to check out our sister podcasts, The Cleansed and Radio Drama Revival, also on Wondery. The Dark Tome is a co-production of Final Rune and Mind's Eye Productions. Learn more at thedarktome.com.